very recently you cracked a seven-figure job with Ecolab's Digital. And what was your profile before you joined Ivy? I was pursuing my master's and I did my master's and bachelor's both in economics from a non-technical background basically. Tell me frankly, did you finish the VBA module or not? Yes, I completed it. I completed all my assignments also. After SQL, which module did you do? Power BI. Power BI. That must have been easy after SQL then. Yes, I found it comparatively easy and much more interesting because it has visuals and all. So I found it somewhat fun to do. Sir, I think before R, I also enrolled to VBA also. And after R, I got enrolled to Python. Okay. Any tips that you would want to give to the learners and especially to the learners who are actually doing the program at Ivy Pro? What kind of tips would you want to give to them? Good evening, Nandini. How are you doing? Sir, I'm great. How are you? Good, Nandini. So, Nandini, thanks a lot for joining in with me today. And just to let everybody know about your profile, Nandini, so you were a fresher, if I understand it correctly. Yes, sir. And, you joined IvyProSchool's data science and data analytics program. And very recently, you cracked a seven-figure job with Ecolab's Digital, one of the world's global energy giant, actually. So, congratulations for that, Nandini. Thank you. And I want to have a very candid discussion with you today, and just to understand about the entire process that you went through with Ecolabs, as well as to understand how you prepared during the program. How did you work on the projects and the cases, all the way to your resume as well? How did you prepare your resume? And then we'll also talk about a little bit about Ecolabs as well. Now that you spent some time with them, so let's start with the kind of let's start with your profile. What is your profile? Why don't you tell everybody about your profile? Here I am a trainee data analyst at Ecolab, and we'll majorly be working with SQL Server, SQL Server, and Power BI. And what was your profile before you joined Ivy? I was pursuing my master's, and I did my master's and bachelor's both in economics in Kolkata only, and from a non-technical background, basically. Completely non-technical background. Yeah. What made you decide to do a very tech-oriented data and AI program, as people say? Actually, during my bachelor's, some of my seniors were already enrolled in Ivy. So they gave a very good feedback and convinced me that you should join Ivy. You'll develop really good skills there. Okay. That made me choose Ivy. Okay, very good. I want to understand one more thing. So I understand that you joined the program last year and you finished the program this year. And you went through a lot of different modules. You learned through different modules. How many hours did you dedicate on an average per day to the program? I made sure that I give at least an hour to whichever module I'm doing. So, and also that I'm not occupied with too many modules, like 2-3 modules at a time. I made sure that I complete one module and then only enroll to the other one. I see. Because the course has several course modules. Yes. You do not do multiple modules in parallel. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you see, there are few people who end up doing multiple modules, but we also kind of discourage that because you see the number of assignments and the number of case studies that become due every week. Yeah. Problem then. We give a lot of assignments. I'm sure you know this, and every assignment comes with a due date. Every case comes with a due date as well. How did you manage that? So that's why I made sure that I assign 1 hour every day, because I didn't want every assignment to pile up, and then I won't be able to learn and develop that skill. Okay. So I did the assignments every day. I practiced, and that made me complete my assignments on time also. That helped me a lot. Very good. And Nandini, I've seen that based on the course module that you had selected, course package that you had selected, you went through multiple modules, right? Multiple skills, multiple tools. Tell me about the tools that you learned and about the concepts and the domains that you learned during the program. I enrolled in data science and visualization course. I started with Excel, and Ishani ma'am was my trainer that time. So she gave us weekly assignments and case studies also. So it helped me a lot. And then I started with SQL.
You were my trainer there, and yeah, in SQL we had too many assignments, too many case studies, so it kept me occupied.
You're saying that I gave more cases than everybody else?
Yes. So I think in some way it helped me only. Like I kept on practicing. I had to complete my assignments on time. So I was occupied with that.
Okay.
So yeah, and then afterwards I started with Power BI. Power BI.
SQL, SQL being a very coding oriented program, right? How did you manage that?
I think the way you taught us, it was like I'm reading a sentence. I didn't feel it was a code.
Okay. I mean, I speak about cloud, and we do things on BigQuery as well, which are considered to be quite technical. And if you remember, I almost in my first class itself, I had introduced you guys to queries on Google BigQuery and fetching the data and then doing manipulation there itself.
Yeah.
I find it scary. Some of the participants tell us that on day one, we were working on cloud.
Yeah, I was very overwhelmed. So what I did was after your classes, live classes, I started watching the recorded sessions.
Okay.
So I watched it again and again so that I get it clear.
Okay, all right. After SQL, which module did you do?
Power BI.
Power BI. That must have been easy after SQL then.
Yes, I found it comparatively easy and much more interesting because it has visuals and all. So I found it somewhat fun to do.
But in Power BI also, you have DAX and you have so many of those things. So didn't you find them complex? The calculations and all of
Initially, I did, but afterwards, there are certain YouTube videos of Ivy also, like some guidance. So I used to go through them regularly. So yeah, it helped me.
Okay. After that, which module did you do?
I think R.
R. Okay. So in R, we start with statistics and then we go to predictive modeling. But you had any economics background?
Econometrics.
Helpful there.
Initially, we started with the basics of R, like data manipulation and all. Then we started with statistics. Statistics I could relate because of my background in economics. And then we started with the models. We started with linear regression model and then proceeded to random forest model.
Okay. After R, which module did you work on?
Sir, I think before R, I also enrolled to VBA or VBA.
I see.
Yeah. VBA. And then after R, I got enrolled to Python.
Okay. But VBA must have been very difficult for you because yeah?
It was pure coding.
I always say that one thing that, if somebody knows VBA very well, that person will always have a job. Because, it is one of the, actually, it is more complex, if I were to say, than training anybody on Python coding as well. Okay. And tell me frankly, did you finish the VBA module or not?
Yes, I completed it. I completed all my assignments also. But yeah, when I was doing it, I remembered everything I could do also. I could solve some questions also. But after I switched to other modules, I couldn't practice it. Then I just started to forget things.
And of course, and especially with the tools like VBA, it becomes even more complex and even more difficult to remember all the concepts. But VBA is pretty helpful, especially when it comes to automation in Excel. So it becomes very, very helpful as well.
Yeah.
After that, after R, you did which module?
Python.
In Python, we go with we explain machine learning as well. Of course. So how was your experience? Python, a lot of people get very scared of Python, especially when they come with economics or business background.
Actually, during my R module, I didn't have a good experience because of my mistake only. I was kind of, I was being lazy and missed a few sessions.
Okay.
So I couldn't complete my R module on time. So I was very prepared that in Python module, I have to be very obedient with my schedule and attend the live classes itself. So I did that and completed the assignments on time also. And if I had any doubts, I reached out to Farooq sir. He helped me a lot and that way I completed.
What other module did you attend, Nandini?
The resume and aptitude session.
Okay.
Resume building.
How did the resume building session help you? What do you remember about it? What did you implement from what we learned in resume building class?
Initially, my projects, the way I defined my projects were different. I just wrote the heading, the topic of my project, and just some bullet points. But after your session, I came to know that I have to write a business statement, business problem that I'm solving in my project. So that's a very big change I think I made in my resume. Let
me put your resume on the screen for everybody's because I like the way that you're described, and you kind of followed everything that we talk about in the class, especially in project description. Let me see if I can zoom it or not. I think I can. Yeah. So I like the way that you have described your project, right? I mean, we talk about using STAR approach, situation, task, action, results, right? So you kind of explained that very well, design and implemented a
Hmm.
diamond price prediction model, so which talks about what you did, the task, and in Python using multiple regression decision tree. So this becomes the action. How did you do it? And I like the fact that you worked on this model with two different techniques so that you could compare the two and then you could pick the right one. This is a very important thing that we talk about. And then also you mentioned the results,
Yeah.
specific numbers, which are very important thing that we talk about, that it should showcase that what results did you achieve. And if there are some numbers to talk about, for example, you mentioned here pre-processed a data set of 53,940 diamonds. So that also is a very important thing. And then you selectively highlighted the keywords, which are also
Yeah.
very, and you have also started your descriptions with action verbs: achieved, conducted, pre-processed. So you followed everything, and then you have given the GitHub link as well at the end. So you almost followed it to the T, right? Very good. And I was just looking at your resume. I mean, you've done the same for almost all the projects, right? I
Yeah.
mean, all the learning projects, and then later all in the SQL project as well. You've gone and specifically mentioned the things that you've done after explaining what action that you performed. And I like the fact that you have given a mixture, right mix of the things, which showcases that you have learned multiple things in the data science industry, right? Here you talk about cleaning the data, and specifically with 6 tables, which is something that a recruiter likes to see as well. And then at the end, you've spoken about dashboard, creating a dashboard also. And you've given very, I like the fact that you a lot of times, the learners don't understand that you must mention some names, mention the numbers as well. Here you mention Atlic Mark Diwali 2023 data, Sankriti 2024 promotions data. So these becomes very important to make the project look very, very real and realistic. So that is something that you've done very well. So very nicely done. And as a recruiter, if I look at your project, one pager, very nice. I don't have to spend a lot of time. And the moment I open the project, it is completely focused on hard skills. And it's not like only you've given that skill summary like here, which is also important, but you actually gone and spoken about the application of applying the hard skills into real projects that you have worked upon. So this is very, very well done. And here also in the keywords, function areas as well, you focused on the keywords. So clean resume. As a fresher, believe me, recruiters don't like to see a lot of things. Recruiters like to see basic things clearly mentioned, and the keywords should be there. And I believe that you customize your resume for Ecolabs as well, right?
Yeah, that I came to know after your session only, that we have to customize the resume according to the job description. So what
Absolutely.
I did was I kept my Power BI projects at the start, and then I just arranged it accordingly.
Ah, very nice, very good
Yeah.
job, Nandini. This is a small thing, right? But
Yeah, this is,
this makes a lot of logical sense, because if I am a recruiter, these are the hard skills that I mentioned in my job description. Then if there is a resume that comes along where it starts with those hard skills that I'm looking for, of course I would be more interested to shortlist that resume, right? It's very logical. A lot of people just don't understand very simple logic, right? I mean, if I'm buying a car with for a specific reason and that reason is right away mentioned to me, I would be interested to hear more about
yes.
it. It's the same thing, exactly same thing. So that's something that I wanted to highlight in your resume, that you have done it very nicely. And I've also seen your LinkedIn profile, right? You already have more than 3,000
Yes.
followers, which I think. And I was just scanning through your LinkedIn profile as well. I don't know if you remember, on our day one of our class, I must have told you that LinkedIn is the most important thing, and you have to become very good at it, right? And I
That day only I created my LinkedIn profile, sir.
that day
You
only.
only introduced me to in LinkedIn.
Very good. Then in 1 year, in less than a year's time, you have accumulated the right kind of audience for your LinkedIn profile. I would say, now that you've gotten the job, of course, don't stop there. Because I
Yeah.
saw, right? I mean, you were helping people, you were uploading certain tutorials as well. You were talking about projects also. Very nicely done, I mean, and to be able to get 3,000 plus followers as a fresh college grad, even before you gotten your first job in such a highly competitive platform. It's not like Instagram where you're just uploading your dog's picture and getting hundreds of likes. I saw some of your posts had more than 700, 800 likes, right? I mean, very nicely done. So it shows that you were deeply passionate about this industry. And I know about a story as well that when you got a fact that your resume, you got to know about the fact that your resume was shortlisted for Ecolab, and you were, I think, coming from Bangalore to Calcutta in the train, and you told me that you just got off midway and then you returned to Bangalore, thinking that the interviews would happen face to face.
Face to face.
It ended up happening online because we
Online.
recruited them, because there were a lot of our learners from different cities. So very good. It shows all this small little things that you've done, in your career. It shows that you were very passionate about it. You were structured, passionate, and you were cleverly passionate about it. It's not like a lot of people just end up doing hard work in the wrong areas at times, but you followed our tips that we give to everybody very well. So very, very good, and congratulations. And Nandini, would you rate yourself as being very disciplined during the program? I know you mentioned 1 hour daily, which is the mantra for being successful in this program. But do you think you were very successful? You were very disciplined. I know you mentioned you were not disciplined, but otherwise, do you think you were very disciplined in that?
Yes, sir. Actually, initially I was very dedicated, but then R happened and I was being lazy. But I learned from my mistake, and then I just started being regular and determined to complete it on time and not delay.
Okay, very good. Nandini, if I were to ask you about the rounds that you had at Ecolabs, so what rounds did you have with Ecolabs Digital?
At first, we started with aptitude round. It contained questions from the OOPS concept of Python. Majority of the questions were from there. Some of the few were from SQL, and half of the questions were from reasoning, logical reasoning, visual something with visual, and data interpretation questions.
Okay, and that was the aptitude round.
Aptitude first round. Then
It's been easy for you because most of these things we'd cover in the program anyways.
Yeah. And then there was a GD, group discussion round. My topic was that there's a OTT platform and the subscribers are going down according to the set standard. So we have to analyze and come up with solutions and the probable reasons that are causing it.
Okay. A very similar case we do in our analytical problem solving class, right?
Yeah.
That was also a couple of GD questions that we do where some amount of data is given. I hope that was helpful during this.
Yeah. And before GD also, we got some suggestions from Ivy also. Like some videos were there and some tips, do's and don'ts were there. So I think I stick to that, and it helped me a lot.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Very good.
And
then the next round was?
Technical round. So majority of my questions were from SQL and Power BI.
Okay.
From SQL, I was asked like if I'm given a data and it is said that it is a structured data, then what do I know about it? What comes to my mind? So I said that I'll firstly think about normalization and the constants it contains and the relationship with other tables.
Okay,
so I said that, and then the interviewer asked me about few of the constants. He asked me to define the constants: primary key, foreign key, composite key. And then for Power BI, I was shown a data of some retention data of employee. And I was asked, from this data, I have to create visuals. So how would I create, and how will I analyze the churn? And yeah, and from there also, they asked me how will I proceed with statistical analysis? What kind of statistical analysis will I do, like correlation, chi-square, and everything. Then I was asked about SQL again, about joins, multiple joins. They asked me to elaborate each of the joins separately, and then they asked me to write a query.
Okay.
Yeah, I was trying to explain everything with an example. I took a student's database example, and then with that database only, they asked me to write a query. to find the to find the second top student who scored something. So I could relate with your classes.
So
The
yeah,
session we had.
right. I understand.
Yes.
So we do that question in 3 or 4 different ways.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay, very good, Nandini. I mean, it was like a bullseye for you, that the things that we covered in the class and the kind of question that you were asked in the interview were very, very aligned. So good for you. Nandini, any tips that you would want to give to the learners and especially to the learners who are actually doing the program at Ivy Pro? What kind of tips would you want to give to them?
I would say that sticking to the curriculum of Ivy, it's very important, and being dedicated is equally important. Like without dedication, we can't complete the course, and regular hands-on practice is also very important. Otherwise, we will forget the concepts, and as you say that we have to mention the project. Like without projects, our resume will never be shortlisted. So yeah.
I I know you mentioned all these things during the discussion, but I would say that the small things that you did, right? The small things, right? Specifically about how you describe your projects and, how you created your LinkedIn profile and how you made your LinkedIn profile very active. That also gives you a lot of confidence, especially when you're preparing
Yeah.
for the calls. It gives you a lot of confidence that, it's just another world, right? Just a professional world. I already have more than 3,000 followers in the professional world, so I can also crack it. That also gives you a lot of confidence, right? So congratulations for doing all these small little stuff, right, Nandini? It's not just about waking up one fine night and getting all the wisdom, but it's the incremental knowledge. Every day you learn something, and every day, even if you improve by 1 or 2%, it is a significant compounded improvement that happens within less than a year's time. So congratulations, Nandini. I'm very happy for you, and and I wish all the success for you in this particular job role. And I'm sure, I mean, you will continue your journey on LinkedIn as well, and you'll continue to guide others with your wisdom that you have already gathered. And I'm sure you will do very well in Ecolabs, Nandini.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Nandini. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.